Hey everyone, welcome to this week's weekly options watch list. Hopefully you all had a wonderful weekend and are looking forward to getting back to trading here come Monday. So before I get into the 5 plays that I'm looking at for the upcoming week, I want to do a quick market breakdown like I usually do here on the ES futures to see where this market potentially could go this upcoming week and some potential key levels to keep your eyes on as well. So let's zoom in here on the ES and look at a few things. So the first thing to note here is that we do have this daily squeeze with bullish momentum on the histogram, and on Friday with the nice rally, we did get a close right above that daily 21 EMA. Ideally, I would like to see a few more closes and holds above that level to potentially have this market start moving back to the upside, but until then, the path of least resistance is still to the downside. Because if we look here, the last times we've reverted back up to the 21 EMA, it's been rejected and it's been rejected. So we easily could have that happen once again here this upcoming week. One of the key levels that I'm looking at, and let me pull it up here, is some Fibonacci levels actually. So I took this previous swing high down to this previous swing low and it plotted its levels, and one of the key levels that I want to keep watching is this 50% region. We can see that this was a level where the market got stuffed to the downside and then it got once again stuffed to the downside. So I think in the early week we easily could come back up and retest this 39.13 level and potentially get rejected once again. But if we can surpass it, then I think this market has the legs to make another move higher. So definitely keep your eye on that level for this upcoming week. And then if it does get rejected, I'd say look for it to retest these previous lows here on the market, or even make new lows as well, because once again, as I said before, the path of least resistance is still to the downside due to us having negatively stacked EMAs. We're in a very nice downtrend, so the overall market is still very bearish. And also, if we go to the weekly time frame, we can see that similar things have been happening, but it's been happening at the 8 EMA instead of the 21 EMA. Is we get that reversion back up to the 8, we get the fall, we've getting that reversion, and now we're kind of just ping-ponging back and forth here around that level. We have had this squeeze now been fired for about 5 weeks, so it probably is losing a little bit of strength now to the downside, and would love to start seeing some of these yellow bars start coming back into this weekly time frame to show that it is losing that bearish momentum, and that is the time where I think we could see that full reversion back up to the 21 EMA here, or even getting us a close above that level. So definitely keep your eye on the squeeze histogram and to see what this weekly 8 EMA level can do this upcoming week. So that's kind of my breakdown of the ES futures here and a few things to keep your eyes on. And now I'll go over the actual plays that I'm looking at for the upcoming week. And the first one here is going to be Amazon. So if we look here at Amazon, I'm actually liking this one to the upside. I know it has negatively stacked EMAs. We do have nice bullish momentum here on the squeeze histogram, but the reason I like it to the upside is because we finally have a close above the 21 EMA. We get another close above this 50 simple, which holds nicely, and we do have this extraordinarily large gap to the upside that will eventually need to get filled. And I do think that if the market can start to make a reversion, I think that Amazon will follow along with that and start making another move back up to the upside. So I do like Amazon here actually to the upside, regardless of it having these negatively stacked EMAs. But if we do get a close below that 21 EMA, then this trade will no longer be valid to the upside, and you could actually look to trade it to the downside. So this is a trade that you could potentially take either way, just depending on how it reacts to that 21 EMA. Next one here, it was on the watch list last week also, but its structure is still similar, is Disney. So this one is in a very strong downtrend. We have negatively stacked EMAs. It is falling steeply to the downside, and every time we go up to that 21 EMA, it completely rejects it. So last Friday with the market rallying to the upside, it almost got to that level. Ideally would like to see a little pop in the early week on the market itself to maybe get this one back up to the whole 21 EMA. And then I think that would be a great place, in my opinion, to get short, as we do have a daily gap here to the downside around that $92 region, which could be a nice target place, in my opinion, for this one. We also do have a nice daily squeeze setting up with its histogram below that zero line, which means that it doesn't have the more likelihood to fire to the upside, it has more likelihood to fire to the downside. So definitely keep your eyes on that as well. Next one here is IBM to the upside. So this one, compared to the majority of other stocks that are trading in the market right now, has actually shown a lot of relative strength, and it's actually got really good structure here to the upside. We have positively stacked DMAs. We're in an acceleration stage, and every time we get around what it seems like this -1 ATR is where it likes to bounce. So in this instance, ideally would still take an entry around that 21 EMA, but if we do get a fall down to this -1, I'd still look for an entry there as well, just due to it previously having support around that level. So I think that if the market does fall to the level here on IBM, that would be actually not a bad place, in my opinion, to get long. So if we look here, we can see that its daily squeeze is above that zero line, which is showing that it is nice. Nice that it is above that level. We are holding above that 21 EMA. Would love to see another retest for an entry, but overall this one does look solid, in my opinion, to the upside. Next one here is Oxy to the downside. So oils have had, and energy have had their huge run here for a while now, and I think it is their time to settle back down. And I think Oxy is setting up really nice here for a trade to the downside. So you had the nice bullish trend, your bullish trend breaks that trend falling below the 21. You get the fall down to the -2, try to get a reversion, falls back down, get the complete reversion, and now we've just been ping-ponging back and forth between the +1 ATR and the -1 ATR. And I think that this squeeze that is setting up is getting it ready for its next big move to the downside. So I'm going to be looking for a kind of a jump up here to the 21 EMA around that 60-ish dollar region. I think that'd be a good level, in my opinion, to get short on this one. And then I'd say wait for it to fall back down to the -2 ATR to take some profits, or back down to these previous lows. But Oxy, in my opinion, does look good to short to the downside. And then last but not least here, we have wind to the downside as well. This one has been in a very, very strong downtrend for a while now, and I think that with it being in the downtrend, why not just continue to follow that downtrend, and we should continue to trade it to that downside. So if we look here on the daily, we can see that we're getting close to that 21 EMA. Would love to see it kind of come back up to that level, and then that should be the level that we short at. Our daily squeeze is still below that zero line on the histogram, and we do have those negatively stacked DMAs. So everything about this one structure is still very bearish. As I said before, though, just wait for that to bounce back up to that 21 EMA for an entry, and this one looks solid to the downside. So these are the top 5 stocks I'm looking at for the upcoming week. Hopefully they give you all a few other stocks that you can add to your watch list as well. And let's go out there on Monday and start making some money, everybody.